What's good, kings and queens? Hope everyone's 2024 is starting out alright. This video is on the sequel to when boxers fumble the bag. For those who didn't watch part 1, when boxers throw away or come up short of a big opportunity. With that being said, let's start the video. As much as I like Clarissa Shields as a fighter and the potential she showed briefly as a personality, she has fumbled the bag countless times when it came to reaching higher level. She should have been the biggest name in the sport for females in boxing and maybe combat sports in general to really elevate women's boxing in America, but her PR team and herself has bottlenecked that tremendously. She had an amazing come-up story, matched up with the skills that was not really seen at that stage with that many eyes, with the competitive bravado which you can compare to a Serena Williams, an athlete that Clarissa herself idolized and looked up to, that shared the same shortcomings when growing up. This is a good story here already, on top of 2 gold medals and being one of the first female boxers on the cover of Ring magazine. With the skills and credentials, she quickly rose up through the ranks, picked up a title and became unified champion. After a year of becoming unified champion, she'll pick up one more belt to find herself in a fight for the undisputed title, just barely 2 years as a pro. In early 2019, Clarissa will become the 3rd undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. In the back half of 2019, Clarissa is dropping in weight to her 2nd weight class to fight the unified champion, Ivana Habazin. When it comes to boxing in America, after the 80s really, but started to fizzle in the 90s, American boxers would never be offered major endorsement deals because of all the scandals within the sport, fighters who were constantly in trouble, and more.
I trained my boy McNeely to go toe-to-toe with the champ, and he did for 89 seconds. He didn't back down from any combinations thrown at him, and he ain't backing down from this one.
There's a new stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Not just cheese, but pepperoni baked right into the crust.
So good you'll eat it backwards. Show him, kid.
It's really hard making this sport advertiser friendly. By major deals, I'm talking about Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Gatorade, McDonald's, major retail and food chains that is advertised to all age demographics. Something that used to be advertised in boxing back in the day.
What I'm saying? I don't mean to be taking any jabs, but you're too heavy for me. That's why I'm leaving. Besides, I have a new title now. Just call me Sugar Free.
Discover the 1-calorie real cola taste worth leaving Pepsi for.
Goodbye, Pepsi. I say you out cold.
Reasons why Ryan Garcia's Gatorade endorsement deal is possibly the biggest move forward in the sport. Gatorade in its history has never endorsed a boxer in America. This was a big deal. Now with Ryan's current tabloid news, I don't know how that's gonna fly by, but hopefully this doesn't affect more boxers getting such opportunities. Anyways, in 2019, Showtime really started to push her around this time, marketing-wise. A win here and whatever moves made in 2020, Shields will be in a position to be one of the first American boxers, my opinion, to receive a major endorsement deal, which would have been not only big for boxing, because that brand that's endorsing her opened doors for more major endorsements to fighters, especially once they see there's money to be made. Well, the week of the fight, Clarissa's team member, who is equally, if not no good, and a threat to one's career than Riddick Bowe's walkie-talkie team member or Andre Durrell's team member, picked the fight with the trainer of Ivana, who is an old man by the way. Words were exchanged, they were split up, just typical fight week behavior, no problem. Clarissa's, well, let's call it like it is, straight up ratchet team member was in fact escorted backstage, out of sight. As things were going back to normal, both fighters were prepping for the hydration phase and putting their tracksuits on. Ivana's trainer gets sucker punched by that same member. She fled the scene as he lays knocked out on the venue floor. The main sights here is Ivana kneeled down, crying for help to come. This is a PR disaster. All while you have an old man in the hospital who is now awaiting facial reconstruction surgery. Potential advertisers watching that and watching the aftermath was like, yeah, that's a no for me. That killed her stock as a marketable fighter so bad that I don't even think she knows herself. So fast forward, you have this anomaly moving into boxing called Jake Paul, with his boxing promotion. With all the money that is being made by the Paul brothers, either by boxing events or through their following on social media, instead of just not saying anything or just remaining optimistic on the matter, as there are plenty of fighters throughout history that had started late, went pro, with far less experience in them, she immediately started fudding Jake, fudding their brand and business, pretty much using the typical talking points the promotional competitors will say. Which, as a fighter who wants to become the face of boxing, you're really shooting yourself in the foot here, because someday you could actually make money off this person. But Paul will then bring the underrated and overlooked Amanda Serrano to his promotion, who fought for peanuts in front of small crowds and then some. As mentioned in one of my videos, there is one thing I noticed about Paul's fights at this time, and it was the close attention and support to the undercard. He made sure the network gave the undercard fighters the red carpet and had it in a manner as if they were the main event. One thing that was in Paul's favor was that his fans are not boxing fans. They pay money for a ticket, they want to see the entire card for their money's worth, something a majority of the boxing fans don't do. I'll never forget the undercard to Canelo Golovkin 2. First fight of the main card was former champion and #1 pound for pound star Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, and his comeback fight after his losses to Rungvisai. I could have counted about 50 people in those stands. I was absolutely disgusted by that sight, because Gonzalez was such a great fighter. All the biggest events in boxing, the crowds don't start showing up to the final rounds of the co-main event. You may be lucky and it will be 3/4 capacity by the first 3 rounds of the co-main. This Paul card, you had droves of people showing up by the first fight. It's looking like the main event, and it's the first fight of the night. Second fight, where even more was in attendance, where the hometown fighter, who has never fought in front of a crowd like this, received a hometown welcome where he rose to the occasion and got a big win. By the time the co-main came, the Serrano fight was a packed house. Due to the success of this event and Paul's platform, Serrano gained a lot of fans. They were able to seal a massive fight between her and Katie Taylor as a main event at Madison Square Garden. Now, getting a sold-out fight overseas in women's boxing is normal, but today's post-Layla Ali era, that's unheard of. You had a lot of salty boxing promotions that made excuses why they couldn't do such a thing for years, while Paul was able to achieve this in a 1-year campaign. This was a 50-50 split crowd between Serrano fans, Puerto Rican supporters in favor of Serrano, and Taylor fans. I haven't seen such energy at the Madison Square since the prime days of Miguel Cotto. Just a ring walk alone, you could see her reaction, creating one of the most wholesome moments, and most deservingly so. This could have been Clarissa in America, having such fans show up, but instead she resorts to mainstream opinions, crapping on people that could pay you, barely selling tickets in her own backyard, resulting for her to travel overseas and fight in other people's backyards because they sell seats. She has the skills, and I thought her promotion with the build-up to Savannah Marshall was just great and entertaining. However, it's too little too soon. Her next fight, her homecoming title defense, had a low attendance for the venue they booked. In 2015, after Broner's loss to Maidana, after an average performance against Carlos Molina, followed up with a tooth-and-nail show against Emanuel Taylor, Jay-Z Rock Nation still had big interest in Adrien Broner. They were willing to offer Broner a $40 million 5-year deal. Broner, who is associated with Al Heyman, who Heyman was allegedly being sued by Beyonce, and due to that, he was beefing with Jay-Z by association, which became apparently clear during the Quillen Korobov purse bid debacle. Instead of declining the offer and moving on with his endeavors, he would go on a rant calling it a peanut offer, then go off on Jay-Z and Beyonce about them sucking his you-know-what, to rant very inappropriately about Rihanna like she has anything to do about boxing and Al Heyman Beyonce beef. Broner would later apologize, but the damage is already done. So in the long term, let's see how this hurt Broner. He made $1.25 million against Molina, $1.35 million against Porter, $1 million against Khabib, so $3.6 million to end the 2015 year off, when annually he'll be making way more by default based on his 5-year contract. The 2016 year, Broner made under $1 million against Theophane, which that would be his only fight of 2016. 2017, 1 mil against Granados, 1 mil against Garcia, 2018, 1 mil against Vargas, and that will be his only fight of 2018. 2019, he will make 2.5 mil against Pacquiao, which he wouldn't fight again till 2021. Under Showtime Heyman, he made on paper 10.1 mil. Now there was news about this 50 mil deal in 2018 with TMT. There was no confirmation a deal was made. It was only mentioned by Broner himself, a couple articles in the matter, then fizzled away as Broner's relations with Floyd and Ellerby went away, and later relations with Al Heyman, which led to a Don King deal in 2023. I don't know how much money it was for, but Broner was given a $100K signing bonus. On this list, this is probably the most avoidable bag fumble, but it happened. Ray Leonard had a wonderful relationship with HBO. Not only he threw on big fights on the platform during their early days, he was also part of the commentary team, which Ray excelled at when he first joined the team in 1978. The third fight between Leonard and Duran was not that good, despite the amazing pre-fight shows, the large outdoor gate. This lowered the stock of Leonard, and coming to his fight with Terry Norris, Leonard was going to be making less money, despite a title being on the line. He was guaranteed more money to bring his fight to HBO's competitor, Showtime. For 4.6 mil guaranteed, Leonard would be making plus whatever percentage from fight day revenue. This 4.6 mil will ruin Leonard's relationship with HBO. They immediately released Leonard as they were expecting to air this fight. Leonard would lose to Norris. His next fight, despite making 4 mil against Camacho, this fight would not take place on any TV network. HBO Sports executive Ross Greenberg would say on the matter, "We feel therefore if HBO is treated in this fashion, it is inappropriate for Ray to continue as a commentator on World Championship boxing telecasts." So therefore, after retirement, Ray did have many other avenues of steady income, but certainly continuing his portfolio on broadcasting with HBO and not burning bridges in such a manner would have led him to more opportunities down the road. Leonard's role will later be filled by George Foreman, Lennox Lewis, and fan favorites Roy Jones Jr. and Emanuel Stewart. Celestino was a talented fighter from the lower weight classes that had an insane height of 5'11". He will find himself becoming the WBA Super Bantamweight champion, then to unify and become the IBF champ. After a couple of defenses, he will find himself making his HBO debut and featherweight debut against undefeated Dal Jordan. Jordan was most known for quite a bit of success and beating Robert Guerrero to the punch. The momentum was so much in Jordan's favor, but unfortunately an awful cut happened that was ruled by a clash of heads by the ref. Guerrero was unable to continue and the fight was ruled a no contest, as it was within the first 3 rounds. So due to this performance against a blue chip fighter, Jordan's stock was quite high coming in. Celestino on his HBO debut would completely burn through Jordan. Beautiful performance by the former unified champion.
This is a long right hand, gets countered perfectly by an uppercut right onto his seat. I mean, that was textbook by Casemiro.
I was just about to say that.
Riding high and moving up to super featherweight, Celestino was now in the mix for a title shot and a potential HBO deal. All he had to do was get past Jason Litzau, who was a massive underdog at 12-1 betting odds. At that time, post Pacquiao Marquez, leaving in 08, followed by the departure of all the Mexican kings. The division was at its weakest of talent. So you had Jason Litzau rise into the picture as he captured the NABF title and a big defense against Rocky Juarez. Litzau will rise to the occasion and pull off a New York Giants against the 07 Pats performance, giving Celestino his first loss in ages by split decision. This will be named by Ring Magazine as a 2010 Upset of the Year. In the aftermath, we would never see Celestino on this stage to be made into a name stateside. He will find himself moving down in weight, picking up a title at featherweight before being stripped due to falling orders to not fight his mandatory challenger and top-ranked fighter Nicholas Walters. Celestino had recently signed to TMT, and well, you know the relationships with Floyd and Arum was at an all-time low, so you know that fight will not be happening, when really he should have taken that fight. He will lose his next fight for the WBC silver title against Robin Castellanos in his own backyard of Panama. Despite Robin having the record of 19-10, he was making his 7th defense of the silver title at that point. The following year, Celestino will lose another regional fight, which moments later it will reveal in 2016 Celestino will be arrested in a bus. They found 10 kilos of contraband in his vehicle. He will be sentenced to 5 years in prison. Coming into 2020, one of the most important fights to be made in the lower weight classes was between John Ray Casemiro and Naoya Inoue. The unification was to take place in early 2020. Due to COVID getting bad, countries shutting down, this fight was canceled, as boxing was coming back, but not yet where all the money is at the division till the end of the year. Broner will pick up the WBC title spring of 2021. And since boxing in Japan was still closed, talks of a fight between Broner and Casemiro was in the works. The winner fights Inoue for the undisputed title. The fight between the two would almost be made and slated for August of 2021. This fight will be thrown out on Casemiro's side, as in regards to drug testing, even when the application was submitted before the final date. A lot of he said, she said, and the fight was thrown out. Coming into 2022, Broner will fight Inoue in June, and the winner, in fact, will fight Casemiro in December for the undisputed title. All Casemiro had to do was fight his mandatory challenger, Paul Butler. The fight took place in England, and the rules over there in regards to weight cutting for safety reasons, fighters cannot use a sauna prior to the fight. How was Casemiro caught? On his own YouTube channel, on a video recapping his fight week arrival. The video shows him going to a sauna to cut weight. Jeez. According to the Ring Magazine article, this video has since been turned private. The British Commission saw the video and the fight was cancelled due to the result of it. Team Casemiro claimed that they were unaware of such rules. However, this doesn't change the outcome. Casemiro was stripped of the title and Butler was promoted to champion. Butler went on to fight Inoue for the undisputed title, and the rest is history. The Ohara story reminds me of the Cowboys post-Jimmy Johnson era. Win some games, look good, we them boys, this is our year for the title, and losing the first game of the playoffs. Ohara will always be in the mix for title contention, then lose it in the regionals. Ohara will get his first loss of his career, losing to Josh Taylor for the WBC silver title. Then after coming back, beating Prospect for the WBC international title, he will lose to Jack Catterall for the WBO intercontinental title. Then this time, he'll put up that Dallas Cowboys 2014 season. He would put up a hell of a win streak, sign the Golden Boy, sit on rank while he is at the closest he was ever to a title shot. All he has to get past is contender Ishmael Barrosos for the WBA interim title. Winner fights WBA champ Rolly Romero. Ishmael became the story early in 2023, leading up to his fight with Rolly Romero for the WBA title. Despite only being 40, due to his facial appearance of looking older than he should, and the questionable poster ad of the fight further exacerbating his old appearance, fight fans who didn't even bother to look him up immediately went on the back burner, making fun of Ishmael, poking fun at the commission for allowing the fight, and at Rolly himself. Ohara Davies even tweeting, if Rolly loses, he's going to laugh. This goes back to what the great Roger Mayweather said. Some people just don't know shit about boxing. That quote didn't just apply to the history of the sport, but it applies to every aspect of the sport.
Most people don't know shit about boxing at all, period. You should know who he is. Oscar. What the f you say? I mean, who is it?
Ishmael's first spree to becoming a contender, 17 wins, no losses with 16 knockouts. He would knock out Kevin Mitchell to earn the WBA interim title. He would lose to Anthony Crolla for the title, where he was only down by 2 rounds on the judges' scorecards, and he was put out by a body shot. His second and third loss will be title contention bouts, get decisioned and stopped, but 2 out of his 3 losses so far, he has knocked his opponents down in. So this shows this man should not be taken lightly because he can crack people on the world-class level. These knockouts do reflect his power. He'll go on a 4-fight win streak. 3 out of the 4 fights were by KO. He will capture a decision win against boxing prospect Ulysses Jr. for the WBA gold title. With the change of hands and rank within the WBA coming into 2023, Ishmael, who was patiently waiting for his call-up for a title shot, finally came through. He shocked the casuals, dropping Romeo and really going to town on him. Romeo would mount up a rally, get some rounds in, stun Ishmael, resulting in the fight to get stopped. Many saw it as a controversial stoppage, despite ignoring there was some awful incidents recently in the sport that may have had the refs on edge. Even a ref like Tony Weeks on edge, who is usually giving the fighters the benefit of the doubt. With the questionable stoppage and with Ishmael winning on all 3 judges' scorecards, 2 out of the 3 having him 3 to 5 rounds up, it raised the question that a fix was in place, and Ishmael became a hero and the ultimate warrior overnight, despite these very same fans making fun of him. Due to controversial nature, the fans, and media outrage, the WBA, instead of just giving Ishmael a rematch with Rolly, threw him against Ohara Davies for the WBA interim title. Winner becomes Rolly's mandatory. This would be Davies' USA debut, and wow, looks like you gotta give some credit to Rolly because he was able to recover and mount something. Davies never recovered and got stopped at 1 minute 53 seconds of the first round.
It's coming down! Down goes Davies again! You want to continue? Davies is out of it! And that is it!
So I'm going to discuss the 2 massive fumbles he made. I'm going to leave out the DAZN deal for the Joshua fight because there was strategic reasons why that deal was off the table. So it's 2021, post Wilder Fury 2. Fury versus Joshua for the undisputed title was in the works and was about to be made, which would have made it the biggest championship fight in UK boxing history. Right when it was going to be official, Wilder and his team forcing Fury to fight him. I'm not sure if Wilder wanted any step-aside money, but that idea was thrown out the window as Bob Arum outright said Wilder will not be given any offers of step-aside money, and it will be best to just get rid of him now and go on about business. Which, if Fury got rid of him like he did in the second fight, he will be in fact gone to where he will have to face hungry ranked competition. Something that he did not have to worry about when he was coming up. April of 2021, Wilder was ranked at number 3 by the WBA. He was in a great position to sit on rank, and due to his popularity, plus the conspiracies from Wilder fans pushing to masses that Fury cheated in the second fight, Wilder will certainly be next in line if Joshua versus Fury took place as scheduled. Since COVID restrictions for traveling were all over the place at the time, if Wilder wanted to fight and have a big comeback show, he could have very well been able to do that stateside against WBA regular champion Trevor Bryan. This would have certainly put Wilder in a position to fight the winner of Fury Joshua. With PBC Showtime promoting this fight, it would have been a great promotion and story to set up for Wilder. Not to mention, Trevor had the regular title. It's not a real title, but you get title fight pay. Not only Trevor was undefeated, but crazy enough, when given the spotlight, the man is a hell of a self-promoter.
You gotta knock me out to take what's mine. And that's exactly what he came to do. He came all the way across the pond. Now, I commend him for that, for coming across the pond and going in somebody else's backyard to try to take what's theirs, but I'm gonna treat him just like that, a hostile enemy. And I'm gonna take him out. It might not be early, and it could be late, but best believe he's gonna touch that canvas and he's gonna taste it.
Anyways, Wilder loses to Fury, but due to his courageous performance and almost getting Fury out of there, that kept his stock high. He would then fight ranked contender Robert Helenius in his comeback fight and won impressively. With the end of Showtime, Wilder found himself in a position partnering up with the Saudis, who are slowly but surely making their own region into the next mecca of super fights. In a lot of these mega matchups, there's always a setup fight. In Saudi Arabia, this was turned into a super event, matched with an amazing promotional video, in which I have not seen such level of production since the 80s when it came to marketing and boxing.
Champ, your next fight's June 27th in Atlantic City.
Yeah, that's right. What can you tell us about this fight before the fight, Mike?
A couple of pops in the mouth, and it's history.
June 27th, the fight before the fight, sponsored by Diet Pepsi.
If Wilder got past Joseph Parker, he will earn his position to fight Anthony Joshua if he were to win with a $50 million purse. On fight day, Joshua completes his end of the bargain, defeating Otto Weiland, and now it all rests on Wilder. This should be an easy fight, right? Wilder and crazy PBC supporters discredited Joshua's accomplishments for years, and especially his fight against an undefeated Parker and their unification. Wilder, who looked like he hasn't missed a step against Hellenius, this should be a walk in the park because Parker had lost against Dylan White and KO'd against RoboCop himself, Joe Joyce. Well, this all came to a rude awakening, not only for Wilder, but the supporters across the waters as Parker completely shuts out Wilder on the scorecards, earning a unanimous decision. With $50 million down the drain, this loss and him getting the boot out of this mega fight tournament, this leaves him in a position where he will be forced to fight guys of the world class to get back into contender status, and not guys like this. I knew this was going to bite him in the butt. I remember posting about Stevenson's move up to lightweight, all while politically he was in a perfect position to become undisputed. Stevenson, who is literally right there, very close to an undisputed unification, decides to move up to lightweight to pursue a Devin Haney fight. He vacates his titles and fights Shuichiro Yoshino. He will become Haney's WBC mandatory. Haney at this point is the clear A-side. Shakur gave up all his juice when he decided to vacate and move up, reducing him to the status of former champ and mandatory. Stevenson's making it out that this should be a 50-50 fight, which it's clearly not. It's a 60-40 fight. A 50-50 fight would be if Stevenson stayed at super featherweight, became undisputed, and challenged Haney while he was undisputed. So obviously a deal is not made. Haney moves up and begins his campaign at 140, fighting Regis Prograis for the WBC Junior Welterweight title. All the belts at lightweight spread out like Dragon Balls after a wish is made, and now Shakur is left with one belt he's fighting for, which that fight gets canceled due to his opponent asking for too much money. Frank Martin is the Al Heyman fighter, and Heyman doesn't do business with Top Rank, but that was the ultimate L for Shakur because now his fight is up in the air. A replacement was made, and the performance was met with disappointment. He had a chance to become undisputed at lightweight, and possibly the most politically screwed up weight class in boxing of the past 5 years, which would have given him privileges to go after big fights and get the big deals he wants while fighting mandatories. Now he's stuck here having to deal with these guys from different promotions and different networks. And that's what I call fumbling the bag. And on top of that, this is when boxers fumble the bag part 2. For more installments, be sure to like, share, and if you're new, subscribe. Subscribe to Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. This project being on the tale of Floyd Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton. I'm Alpha Sancho, and I'm out.